I'm just gonna go ahead and very simply drop Solemnity. And now we have the combos. What's up, guys? If you'd like to support our content and pick up this month's amazing proxy rewards, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/itresolves. What is going on, everybody, and welcome to another historic gameplay video. Today we are going to be playing an Approach of the Nine Lives deck. This is one that I have tuned a little bit on my own, and I'm really liking the layout. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Before that, though, just want to reiterate, we do have our Modern Horizons 2 giveaway going on right now. If you would like to enter for a free bundle, that is the best way to do it. You can check out, we do have a video explaining all the details and where to follow us and when the winner will be announced, which is on June 25th. So please take the opportunity. Hopefully you can win a free bundle, and if not, you will be entered most likely for any future giveaways, and we do them a lot. So please do take that opportunity. We love to give stuff away here on this channel. It's just a really nice way to give back to the community, and so take that opportunity. It's a great free way to hopefully get some awesome cards. And they are awesome. Modern Horizons 2 is killer. Additionally, there is a little join button you'll notice down below. If you would like to support our community here on YouTube, that is a fantastic way to do it. I do encourage you to at least check it out. Please don't feel like you have to, but it does mean a lot to us. But without further ado, let's talk about the list. So obviously, Nine Lives, the combo, has been around for quite a while. If you don't know what it is, essentially it's 9 lives with Solemnity. This says, anytime a source would deal damage to you, whatever that source might be, put an incarnation counter on 9 lives. Then, if there are 9 or more on it, exile it. When it leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. Now, normally that would be a really interesting card because it would prolong your death, but Solemnity, a very nice little enchantment here, 2 and a white. Players can't get counters. Counters also can't be put on artifacts, creatures, enchantments, or lands. Obviously, 9 lives is an enchantment. It can't get the counters, which means you can't lose the game, essentially. Now, 9 lives does have hexproof. Solemnity does not. The way to break up this combo is to be able to destroy either one of them in some way, but ideally, the Solemnity play is really the trick. So, what we have done is we have tooled the rest of the deck to do the best possible job of controlling the game as best we can, with the intention of winning with Approach of the Second Sun. Essentially, you cast this twice in a game and you automatically win, which is amazing. But the rest of the deck here is very focused on slowing the opponent down. Authority of the Consuls here, great way to slow down the aggro list. Not only does it gain you life, but it means their creatures come into play tapped, which just sets them back tremendously. If you've not played a lot of Historic lately, aggro decks are rampant, as we saw in yesterday's challenge video. And so being able to slow those decks down a little bit and then ideally wipe them out with either a Wrath of God or a Doomskar later on is perfect. Rest in Peace is here. There's a great way to shut down a lot of the graveyard decks, the Croxa lists, anything like that, Reanimator, stuff like that it's absolutely fantastic. Not only does it exile the graveyard, but if a card or token would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, you just completely exile it. So a lot of those Reanimator style decks are just shut down with Rest in Peace. If we do not have a way to deal with a card, we've got Runed Halo, which basically gives us protection from the chosen card, which is really, really nice. And I've had this work extraordinarily well, because there are cards every once in a while that are like kind of problematic that we don't have a great answer for, and so Runed Halo is kind of our catch-all. Mindstone is simply here to ramp us into our big spells, and then of course Idyllic Tutor here to be able to pull out either the Solemnity or the 9 lives. Pretty straightforward. We also can pull out really any of these early game cards as we need them with that tutor, which is fantastic. Now, in that top slot, of course, we do have Approach, but the Immortal Sun is here as a 2-of to make sure that we can draw extra cards per turn and hopefully finish the game a little bit quicker. Players also can't activate Planeswalker loyalty abilities, so this shuts down a lot of the Ugins, the things like that we're readily seeing in Historic. And then Emeria's Call is here not only as a land, but also as a kind of backup finisher. Just being able to throw out some angels and start swinging in is sometimes good enough to win, especially if you've got the Immortal Sun pumping them up to 5/5s. Now in the land slot, we do have 4 Castle Ardenvale. Again, the backup to the backup plan. We can chip away with 1/1s, and then 16 planes, and then just 4 Fabled Passage, just as a way to deck thin a little bit. So really, in total, we've got about 26 lands if we include the Emeria's calls here. But all in all, this is a really tried and true deck. This is a very, very fun one. If you have not played with it, we're going to jump into 3 games today and hopefully have a really fun time. So do stick around. Let's go ahead and jump into game 1. All right, guys, here we are for game number 1, and honestly, this is about as good as we can expect. This gives us both of our combo pieces, as well as a double Wrath of God hand here that even if, for some reason, these don't get down, we have a way to kind of deal with the creatures that we expect to find from the opponent. Again, understanding that they may not, but a lot of the decks that we're facing in Historic right now tend to be a bit more aggro-y. And this is a prime example. See, look at that. All right, so we'll go ahead and just throw a Castle Ardenvale down and be done with it. Pretty straightforward. The idea here is that we're going to try and get one of these 2 down next turn, probably the 9 lives, and then just go for it. Just see what we can do. There's the Idyllic Tutor as well, which is actually really, really good because this is going to be able to get us basically any card that we need from our list to be able to kind of shut things down here. Most likely a Rest in Peace to be able to shut down some graveyard shenanigans as needed, but that's just another way to lock out that game, and that's so crucial here. It also just provides us with a backup. If they Thoughtseize right now as an example and take that Solemnity, we have the Idyllic Tutor to go fetch up another one. Not necessarily perfect, of course, but it does give us some way of making sure that we're still in this. So I'm just going to go ahead and very simply drop Solemnity. And now we have the combo. So now even if they try and attack in, the 9 lives will trigger, but the Solemnity will trigger on top of it, which just means we can't take damage essentially, which is really, really nice. Obviously, they might have a way to deal with it, but for now, this is a pretty solid game plan at this point, especially given we've got the Wrath of God in hand to kind of deal with all this. And you'll notice here, nothing happens. Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. I love that. So, like I said, they might have a way to deal with it, which means we are probably going to be playing this one out a little bit, but that's okay. We can figure it out. I believe in us. And there's another. Wow, that's actually pretty good. So I'm just going to go ahead and Wrath of God here. I'm probably going to play the land here. I'd like to make sure that we can get up to the Immortal Sun mana and that kind of thing, or be able to Idyllic Tutor and then play whatever enchantment we need to get off of it next turn. And so it's very, very crucial that we get as many lands as we can down. It also does mean Castle Ardenvale is active. As of next turn, we can start spitting out those little 1/1 tokens and try and win the game that way. So we'll see. We will see. This is such a potent combo, it's really interesting because a lot of deck lists do run ways to deal with this specifically because they know it's a presence in Historic. Now, I've seen it less and less on the ladder recently, but I'm not very high on the ladder because we do those challenges, and unfortunately a lot of those decks do not necessarily win the game, which isn't the goal of them, and so we'll see how this goes, but keep in mind, this can't get counters. Nothing can get counters either, so none of this actually really triggers, which is kind of nice. All right, so here's the tutor. Let's see what we can do. The trick is, what do we want to get? And it might just be the Rest in Peace. I think it is. We've got a backup tutor, so at this point, this is just a matter of getting their graveyard out of the picture and just ensuring that that's not a way that we could win. Or that we could lose, excuse me. So that should be fine. Keep in mind too, we can still win to like mill or something along those lines. The only reason I say that is obviously they could gain a lot of life and then mill us for a lot with the cauldron here, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. So not super worried about that. Nice also that when they discard a card, it just goes straight into exile thanks to Rest in Peace. So this will never do anything, which is kind of nice thanks to Solemnity as well. And they are looking to transform that Bloodfast, I imagine. But I don't really think it's going to work for them. We'll see. We will see. I'm curious to know how this actually goes, because I really like this deck. It's a very frustrating deck, I think, for a lot of people to play against, and I understand why. But it's fun for everybody else. So the question is, do we really want to go for the tutor, or do we just kind of want to wait and see what happens, and maybe Castle Ardenvale? I'm going to go Castle Ardenvale play. It's just the safe play. We don't need to drop this tutor yet. We can just kind of wait and see what happens, and pull whatever we need to pull with it. This is also a bit more of a jank deck, it seems. I wouldn't have expected them to have played this kind of deck, and that's okay. It's just, this is kind of an odd list that I have not yet seen, and so it's very interesting to see what they've got here. I love the creativity that some people have. It's very fascinating, in my opinion. Hopefully they just like start attacking in and or continue attacking in, tapping the creature, and then we can just start throwing out these little 1/1s and finish them off pretty quickly here. Crucially, this is at the beginning of their upkeep as well. That's something to keep in mind. If they're at 6 life, we don't necessarily want them to get to 5 and flip that. So, and they were smart. They did leave up the 1/1, which they should have, because again, we do want to start attacking in at some point. If we draw another Emeria's Call, we can just throw that out there and kind of finish things off here. And that's fine. They have removal, but it's not going to do that much against us. Here, I'm actually going to play the Mind Stone and crack it immediately. The reason being, we do have the Immortal Sun. We do have some ways that we can kind of even approach. We need to get these cards in our hand, obviously. And here we have the Emeria's Call. So what I'm going to do, just to be efficient with our mana, because we can't activate that Castle Ardenvale, is go ahead and throw this out there. And what do we want to pull here? It might just be Authority. Simply because we can play it now, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that out there. This is going to slow them down even if they destroy the Solemnity or something along those lines. It gives us a backup plan. And this Emeria's Call is really going to hopefully finish them off very, very quickly here. So I'm pretty happy with our position. I think we've got this one taken down. So game 1, I'm feeling pretty good. Again, this is very much a combo heavy / toolbox list, which I really appreciate. I love a good toolbox list, and any kind of enchantment hate like this is just so strong. Okay. Oh, it's the Aetherflux Reservoir, but oh, very cool. So can they actually they might actually be able to do this. Granted, they only have 5 life to work with here, which is kind of interesting. And this isn't gonna trigger, obviously, so. All right, let's throw this land out there. Let's go ahead and fetch for just a regular plains, of course. Interested to see how this goes, because technically they can win with the whatchamacallit. I don't know why I couldn't think of that. The Bolas's Citadel. So let's drop the Emeria's Call here. I'm curious though, because they do only have 5 life to work with. They can obviously, gain a little bit of life with the Temple, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's going to be nearly enough. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, they're going to gain some life from the Reservoir, obviously. So that's interesting. And they could very easily just have some fatal pushes and stuff here to kind of deal with this. Good for us that the Authority is here, I guess. Gains us a little bit of life. It's kind of useless, to be honest, but it's fine. At this moment, I'm really wishing I had the Runed Halo so I could protect against the Aetherflux Reservoir. That would be ideal. So a bit of a misplay on my end, though I wasn't really expecting a Reservoir deck. I'll be very honest. They did transform into the Temple. And they're thinking very, very hard about this. Let's see. They're going to play a Cauldron. Okay. Fair enough. Destroy all non-dragon creatures. Sure. So they're gaining a lot of life. I mean, they're getting there. They now have 8 life to play with, which, to be clear, is a pretty big amount of life, because at some point they're just going to net the life back from the Bolas's Citadel. So I actually think this is very, very good on their end. So we'll see how this actually pans out. There's another Solemnity. let's see. So we can play the Solemnity and still have exactly enough for a Castle Ardenvale. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw that out there then. The reality is, it's not the best thing in the world. We would have very much enjoyed a Runed Halo there. We could have shut them down very, very quickly, but it's okay. It doesn't look like they're willing to go crazy with this Bolas's Citadel. At least I would have thought they would have last turn. There's a Massacre Worm. Very good. And very happy we didn't play that Castle Ardenvale ability yet. Again, always wait till the end of the turn for the Castle Ardenvale. That's one thing that I am historically quite bad at doing, is actually waiting on that. But it's okay. We'll make sure we do it correctly this time. And again, we see, you know, this shutting down these creatures just in terms of they come into play tapped, we gain life out of it, and we can't take damage from them. So it's just kind of a positive all around. But they have gained a lot of life here, guys. So I'm a little worried. Maybe we don't have this. Maybe we don't. Regardless, we're going to do the best we can. If we can get that Runed Halo, I think we're going to be in okay shape. They are milling like crazy. They did not mill a Runed Halo, though. They did get some tutors, which is not good. Okay. Don't get a Runed Halo. Okay, they didn't, again, get a Runed Halo, so that's helpful. Let's go ahead and throw this out there. They probably just Fatal Push whatever, you know. If we played any kind of creature, they're probably going to Fatal Push us. I think they might have this one, though. Yep, there's that Fatal Push, and that's fine. They've already spent their stuff here. Oh, there's the approach. All right. Well, I mean, we don't really worry about the creatures, right? So we're just gonna play approach. I mean, it's the best thing we can do. It's approach. So what else are we gonna do? They have not milled the other approach either, which is pretty important. Okay. The only trick is... No, excuse me. That makes sense. All right, so that is there. We'll see how much life they gain. So they're going to gain 6 there. Interesting they did it then. They should have done it on their turn, I would think. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Now they're going to gain as much life as they possibly can. This is ridiculous. So they are going to win, I think, this turn, if I had to guess. Unless somehow... Wow, they have 4 Aetherflux Reservoirs out. That is insane. Nice. Very, very nice. So they're going to be able to mill our whole deck here. Which is going to mean that they win, I believe. So they've gained enough life at this point that I don't think that that's a problem. Yep. And there goes our deck. Well done, opponent. That is a really interesting list. I am very curious to maybe play that in the future. That was really cool. All right, let's go ahead and jump into game 2. All right, guys, here we are for game number 2, and this is probably the epitome of a perfect hand. So we're going to take this one and hopefully run with it. We've got the Authority of the Consuls, we got the Mind Stone on turn 2, and then we can ramp into these. Just seems about as perfect as we could ask for. The only thing we can hope for is that the opponent is not on some kind of mono black, which they are not. Any kind of Thoughtseize effect is really, really punishing for a deck like this. And so I'm very, very happy to see a Soul Warden, honestly. These life gain decks are very, very good. In Historic in particular, I think they are at an absolute high in terms of how good they are. But I think we can get this one. So I'm pretty happy. We should be okay here. We'll see. We will see. I don't want to speak too soon, but I like our chances against these life gain lists. You saw in the previous game just how important it is to understand the weaknesses of your own deck. And obviously mill is a big weakness of this list. It's one of those situations where it's very, very... This deck is very, very good at dealing with any kind of damage or any kind of, you know, life loss kind of stuff because it just doesn't matter. But it is not very good at dealing with mill or hand destruction. Or there are particular weaknesses of this list that you need to keep in mind when you do go to play it. And that's very, very important. Part of me wishes we had actually just foretold this, to be honest. I think that could have been very, very good because we're taking obviously a good bit of damage here. There's the Emeria's Call as well. Let's see. So if we played that, that doesn't mean that we get that taken care of. So let's see. 1, 2. 10, 11, 12, potentially more than that. So we might just lose next turn is the trick here. But we're going to do the best we can. So the Solemnity here does shut down the Ajani's Pridemate in terms of getting more counters on it. That is a bit of a oversight on my end to not have foretold that Doomskar, because this turn we could have just played it and wiped their board, which would have been amazing. But we didn't do it, and that's okay. Wow, that Thalia is very, very good. Solely because it shuts down that Doomskar a little bit more, but we'll see how this goes. If we can just get a 9 lives off the top, that would be amazing. Okay, we didn't. That's okay. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not going to be enough, which means we do just die. I think we're just dead, guys. That kind of sucks. We were really close to being able to kind of make that happen, but we can get the 9 lives here. And you can see, again, a turn away from that win. That's really unfortunate. I think we could have been really well off if we had Doomskarred instead. So that's an oversight on my end, but that was a really quick game. So we are going to go ahead and jump into game number 3. All right, guys, here we are for game number 3. And again, we've got a pretty strong start. We need to make sure that we play very, very carefully. I would love to have any card other than Approach in this opening hand. This isn't exactly what we need. The goal is very much to wait on the Approach, but that's okay. We're going to throw this down. We're going to throw the Authority down and hopefully be off to a pretty decent start here. This is a Prowess deck, so this Soulscar Mage may be one of very few creatures that we expect to see, which means this Authority isn't going to do quite as much. We lied. They did get a Sprite Dragon this turn, which is great. This Solemnity is hopefully going to shut that down pretty quickly as well. So let's go ahead and throw this out there and get that Mind Stone down. That's going to ensure that we can get that Solemnity down, hopefully before this Sprite Dragon goes too crazy. I would love, love, love to pick up any kind of sweeper this turn. I think that would be ideal. It would just give us the firepower to be able to sweep their board and not really have much going on for them at the beginning of the next turn. So let's see how this goes. We did not get a sweeper, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and throw this down and get that Solemnity down, and then go ahead and fetch here. We do want to deck thin a little bit. We do have a fairly high number of lands in this list. To me, that's a very important piece of the puzzle, given how control-y this deck is and how quickly you want to make sure that you can play everything that you need. So it's very important, in my opinion, to do that. But all that to say, obviously, that does mean you have that risk of flooding, so another thing to kind of keep in mind here. You see Solemnity doing its job, though, shutting down these Sprite Dragons, which is absolutely fantastic. There's the Runed Halo as well. So what we can do is just give protection from Sprite Dragon. And that just should, I believe, if I'm understanding, if I am correct in saying this, that should mean that they just can't attack with that Sprite Dragon, which is great. So I'm just going to throw that down. The question is, do we want to Mind Stone? And I think the answer is no, but I might be wrong. We'll see where we're at the end of this turn. We'll resolve all. And here we're seeing that they are burning out slightly, just in that they don't have a ton left that they can do. And the idea being, at the very least, we should be able to Castle Ardenvale to throw out some creatures and protect us from these ground creatures later on. They're going to return the Sprite Dragon to their hand. That's very smart. Because it's a useless creature, that just allows them to get a little more damage in with that Soulscar Mage. So they can still attack. That's interesting. Or do we take damage from it, though? No, we don't. Interesting. Okay. So the question becomes, do we want to draw a card here? I do. I really want a sweeper, and we did not get it. Oh my gosh. We are so low on these. All right. So we pass, and we create a blocker and hope we don't die. That's the best thing we can do. Sure. Good thing is they're gaining us a little bit of life by doing some of this, so that's a little helpful. Wow. We're being very unfortunate here. All right, let's do this. And we're just here to save as much damage as we can. and so that's all we need to do. We only lose 1. That's pretty nice. There's Solemnity, which isn't helpful, really. We've already got that out, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're pretty much just dead. We are pretty much just dead, which sucks, man. We are so close every time. I really hate that. I mean, we're going to throw out a little 1-1, but we're dead here. Guys, we didn't make it happen. Unfortunately, we even had the combo in the first game, which was just unfortunate. But you know what? It's okay. Let's go ahead and take a moment to talk about this list, and we'll see, again, kind of where the weaknesses were lying here. All right, so let's talk Solemnity 9 lives, because this is a really prominent combo, and if you are playing Historic, I would suggest that you at least be aware of how to utilize and how to beat this combo. We saw it lose. I mean, straight up, we just did not get the combo in games 2 and 3, and in game 1, they had a way around it, and so it's okay. I think we can learn a lot from these losses. I think if you happen to be on a losing streak, or you lose a few games in a row and that kind of thing, take a step back and take some time and think about why and how that happened. We saw in game 2 that had we played slightly differently, I think we could have won that game pretty easily, because we would have shut down a lot of their life gain and a lot of their damage dealers in one shot with that Doomskar. So take that time, reflect, and understand why why the outcome happened the way it did. For us, I think game 1, the opponent just had a better option. What we should have done is either given Ruined Halo protection from the Aetherflux Reservoir, which would have been helpful, but probably not the important piece. That Cauldron was the important piece, and I did not threat assess that properly. I knew they were going to probably try and mill a little bit, but until I saw the Aetherflux Reservoir, I didn't really expect it. And so that was on my end, just a misevaluation. Same thing in game 2. We should have Doomscarred. We should have gotten that sweeper out, reset the board, and then worried about getting that combo. So I think we could have done a much better job. Game 3, I think we played about as well as we could have. We got a little flooded, and I think we did all we could in that instance to avoid that, getting the Fabled Passage, trying to deck thin just slightly. But unfortunately, we just didn't get there. And you know what? It's okay. We had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. I really love this combo. This is a very fun deck. The list is down below if you would like to give it a shot or tune it to your liking. There are a lot of options for this list. Some stuff is pretty set in stone, obviously, with a combo list, but this is a very, very fun one, and there are a lot of different options for it. So please do check that out, guys. Thank you so much. Please make sure you enter that Modern Horizons 2 giveaway. We would greatly appreciate you having or being a part of our community, and good luck to you guys. Make sure you check out that join button down below, as well as our Patreon if you would like to support our content. We really appreciate it, guys. I'll see you very soon for another gameplay video.